Alright, so this is a suggestion via Patreon. The name of the video is why the U.S. elects so many older politicians. Guys, I have wondered that question forever. Alright. Again, living in two places at once, I can definitely tell that we definitely have a problem with voting people into office that literally are so far away from like the overall median working age. It's crazy. Generally, these individuals are not going to see maybe 20 more years to see actually what they've done to the country. I'd rather someone, of, let's say, the median working age, basically decide our future more so than the excessively elderly, guys. But either way, let's go ahead and see where this takes us. Let's jump into it immediately.
U.S. politicians are much older than those from other developed nations. President Biden, age 81, exited the 2024 general election as concerns over his age and health mounted.
In North Carolina, right after the debate, he goes down and says, well, except I have trouble walking and I sometimes get confused. And so now there are some cognitive issues.
The issue extends beyond the presidency.
So we have all of these elderly and in many cases unhealthy politicians who are in office. The first question is why? Because we have a system for getting people like this out of the political system. They're called elections.
A lot of young people are very disillusioned with the political system.
Former President Donald Trump, at 78, became the oldest presidential nominee in history when President Joe Biden removed himself from the race.
I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation.
And guys, the interesting thing about this, though, is it's like, look, listen, do your thing. You've lived a really long life. You should not be worried about all of this now. What you should be worried about specifically is enjoying your retirement. Going to Florida, basically, right? Living on the beach, experiencing warmer weather, right? Joint pain, etc. Right? All of these things. Live the rest of your life in peace and basically harmony. All right, don't worry about this, right?
De facto Democratic Party nominee and Vice President Kamala Harris is 59, about 9 years older than the median registered voter. Her campaign says it drew $100 million in donations in less than 36 hours amid a series of high-profile endorsements.
The numbers we're seeing from the Harris campaign are historic. I mean, I've never seen anything quite like it.
Why are so many U.S. politicians so much older than the electorate? And how are they holding on to power in Washington?
Stranglehold.
Over time, the age of U.S. lawmakers, on average, has crept up steadily.
One of the reasons that Congress is getting older is because Americans are too. A lot of that growth has outpaced the growth that we've seen in life expectancy. But there are a couple of reasons for that. One is that in the Constitution, we have age floors in Congress. But there are also a number of other factors that aren't just based on the Constitution. One is that it's really hard to be a young candidate for office.
The age of our politicians is kind of baked into the preferences of our voters. Voters in the U.S. don't want career politicians. They want somebody who is successful in a different job first. And then they want them to bring that experience and perspective to Washington.
The U.S. Senate is Congress's oldest wing, with an average age of 64 across its members when they took office in 2023. The average age of the members of the House of Representatives is 57. Democrats skew older than Republicans across both chambers. In 2023, the health conditions of some long-serving members caused delays.
You need a politician who has the stamina and the physical and mental and cognitive capacity to do the job well. The ideal is when you get a politician like Chuck Grassley. You get somebody who's been doing the job for 40 years, knows everything about it, but is super healthy. The problem is that can't last forever.
Right.
You can have a situation like we had with Mitch McConnell earlier this year.
I turned 82 last week. The end of my contributions are closer than I'd prefer.
Senator Mitch McConnell froze before reporters at 2 press conferences in 2023.
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026?
That's crazy. All right.
He announced that he'll step down from his leadership position in 2025.
Like, nothing against getting older. Everyone is going to get older, right? But there comes a time where you just have to gracefully bow out and again live the rest of your life with your illicit Washington, D.C. money.
But he plans to remain in the Senate through his term to 2027.
When you talk about Mitch McConnell, he's always had a ton of sway. The big names matter still in both parties.
The median age of U.S. presidents at the time of inauguration is 55. Both Presidents Trump and Biden were much older when they took the office. Their connections have helped them draw hundreds of millions of dollars in campaign donations, a task that Vice President Harris must now take up.
If something to watch out for is if it's a certainty that some portions of the tech community are going to stick with Donald Trump versus the vice president. She has arguably a more of a direct line. The likes of Ron Conway and Reid Hoffman, they just know her better. And so with that, she has more of a chance to reel in some people who are more undecided in the tech world into her camp, and even some people who may be leaning into Trump's world a little bit.
The U.S. population today is older than it's ever been, with a median age of 38.9. The age of the median registered voter has increased too. It was 50 in 2019.
Yeah, I can definitely tell you this right now. The gender war that seems to be going around, specifically on the internet. If you live on the internet, you've seen and experienced all these gender war issues here. Because of that, people are not having kids anymore, guys. I don't think the young people like each other anymore. There are issues, okay? The issues are strong, okay?
Up from age 44 in 1996.
A lot of the guys are leaving the country to find partners.
As the country ages, voter turnout is hitting new records, with 2/3 of the country casting ballots in the 2020 presidential election. At the same time, younger voters showed up at lower rates when compared to older generations.
Voting really comes at kind of an awkward age in young people's lives, where a lot of young people are leaving their parents' home for the first time. They're maybe starting college or careers. It's really difficult for them to have access to resources that help them do things just like register to vote.
Older voters have a preference for Republican politicians, while younger voters tend to skew toward Democrats, according to an August 2023 survey from Pew Research.
Absolutely.
That said,
young people are disillusioned with the two-party option. A lot of young people are thinking that they might vote third party instead to cast a protest vote.
Most people's first election marks their party choices for years afterward.
You know, some people think, well, you just get more conservative as you get older.
Yeah, kind of. That's exactly what happens. Like when you're young, you're super free spirit. You're just like, yeah, give everything to everyone for free, right? Why not? Who cares about all the economics of it, actually? Who cares? Yeah, give everything to everyone. Then when you get older, you realize that that's not really the way to do it, bro. You're just creating lazy people a lot of the times by giving every single thing. They never have to work. They never will want to do better. I think that's the overall outlook, right? But again, I want to go ahead and point this out again and reiterate this. I live on two continents, right? So I know when I'm in Europe, specifically in Spain, there are a lot of parties. There is no such thing as this two-party thing. That's a here thing, I would say. And seeing how things work over there versus here, we need more parties. Definitely. Okay. Absolutely. Because not everyone fits into these two parties. Not everyone does. I know I for a fact don't. Okay, I look to the right and I'm just like, some of the things you're saying are cool, but then you're a little crazy on the other side, right? Then the left is just like, some of the things are decent, right? But then you get a little crazy too. So it's just like, where do you go here? Give me someone else, please.
That's generally been shown not to be the case. We're sort of imprinted by our formative political experiences. And so people who grew up, say, in the 50s, which is dominated by the Eisenhower years, tended to stay Republican and voted that way throughout their lives.
In the contemporary electoral environment, partisanship tends to dominate. Characteristics of the candidate, such as their age or their health, will be second-order concerns by comparison.
Right.
Bernie Sanders ran for president in 2016 and had massive youth support, and he was 74 years old. But he came forward with a really strong agenda for wealth and power redistribution, and that really resonated with young people's, egalitarian values, as well as, I think, their sense of fatalism.
Fewer Americans.
Yeah, but the problem with that, yes, absolutely. Bernie Sanders had a gigantic grassroots movement. A lot of people followed him, right? But the problem with young people, again, like what I said in the beginning of the video, they're not the ones that are going to go out and vote. They don't do it. He's tried it twice, if I recall, guys, and both times the young people let him down. Okay, that's just what it is. They can say all of whatever they want to say, but at the end of the day, there's no action there. None. They're not going to do it. They're only doing it. You remember during the Black Lives Matter things, and everyone was basically putting like these black squares up, these irrelevant black squares, right? That's what it is. They're just posturing. They're acting like they're behind something, but they're literally just doing it for social media clout, if anything.
Can afford retirement, aging the workforce. A poll from UC Berkeley shows all age groups are glum on the economy, none more than the oldest.
Older adults are engaged by issues that affect them. So Social Security, Medicare, increasingly Medicaid, right, because it plays a big role. The Democrats have really staked out a position. They want to protect these programs. They want to protect Social Security. And it's been a Republican proposal, right, is to increase the retirement age.
Concerns over public finances led a Republican committee to propose delaying retirement benefits to 69. If the plan passes, it wouldn't be the first time the retirement age increased. But retirement is just one of many economic issues in the United States. A March 2024 poll said that voters care most about inflation, immigration, climate, and health care. The delay in retirement for politicians appears to have become a bottleneck for young leaders in Washington.
We see a political class that's getting older and older and older, and younger people, a lot of whom are trying to get into business and want to be successful leaders. They say, why would I get into politics? Why would I get into politics where I have to wait until I'm 75 years old to have a shot at these important positions in leadership?
Nancy Pelosi, age 84, left her formal post as Democratic leader in 2022. The former speaker is running for re-election in 2024, having already served for 37 years.
Pass.
Nancy Pelosi, despite the fact that she is no longer House Speaker, is still a force to be reckoned with. We saw that with the fight with Biden.
It's up to the president to decide if he is going to run. We're all encouraging him to make that decision because time is running short.
So a lot of people have had these conversations with their parents where they try to tell them, hey, maybe you're a little bit too old to drive. And think about how a lot of those conversations go. Now think about how much harder it is to have that conversation with somebody who's been in office for 40 years, who you owe a ton of favors because of all the mentorship they provided you throughout the years, and who, by the way, employs a staff of dozens, or in the case of the biggest politicians, hundreds of people who will probably be out of a job if they decide to call it quits.
Bro, it's business. I'm sorry. I get it. I get what you're saying. All right, driving a car is not driving a car is not the same as running a country. Okay, if you see someone as in fact in decline, you morally cannot continue to back this person. That can't be the reality, right? You're weakening the country doing that. Why would you want to do that on purpose? Because they made you feel good at one time in life? It's business, right? Like I know for a fact I wouldn't be happy to have this conversation with my mother, who's almost 70 and still literally off roads in her Jeep, right, regularly. Okay, she's very capable. Okay, but yeah, I don't want to have this conversation. I wouldn't want to have this conversation. I'll be honest here. I get it, but that's not the same thing. If my mother was running the country, that'd be a different scenario specifically. Okay, the reality. But either way,
Republicans have made way for new leadership in Washington. House Majority Leader Mike Johnson is 52 years old, and right-leaning academics are calling on young conservatives to fill posts in the government if their party controls Washington after the election. In July, former President Trump appointed Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio, age 39, to be his running mate in November. Democrats have also welcomed a new generation of lawmakers to Washington in recent years.
I had a conversation last year with Maxwell Frost. He was the first Gen Z member of Congress.
Get him out. Except Gen Z. Disregard. I'm sorry. No. I'm going to check him out. Gen Z, eh? Let's see. I'm scared. Okay, I'm not ready for Gen Z to be any type of politicians, guys. I'm not ready. Right? Is he doing TikToks in the White House, guys? I want to know.
He talked a lot about why it was so hard to be a younger candidate. For one thing, you've had less time to establish a career, to establish a network of contacts and potential political donors to your campaign. So I think this age discrepancy does have a major impact on policy.
Younger candidates definitely would come forward with new ideas. But we're seeing a lot more convergence between young conservatives and young Democrats on issues like wealth redistribution or tax reform, on issues like universal health care.
But then there's something called crystallized abilities. These are sorts of knowledge and skills that's accumulated over the lifetime, and that's really critical for somebody who is in the presidency.
Okay. Guys, I'm still going to say the same thing here. All right. After listening to this, I understand it may be hard to, it may be really hard to tell someone, hey, listen, you've done a lot for me in your life and your career. The last thing I want to do is tell you you're kind of aging out a little bit of politics. I get it, right? But you have to. Okay, they're running the country, and they're speaking on. They're creating and thinking of things, right, from the perspective of someone legitimately born 8 decades ago. I'm trying to think of something from 8 or 9 decades ago that would seriously add value to the life of someone that is currently, again, of working age in 2024. I'm sorry. Right? Live your life, retire, right? Enjoy your life. Don't do anything where you're deciding anything for anyone. Again, of working age. All right? That's just not how things should work. Guys, I'm sorry. But either way, if you want to ask the question to the elders, right? You can go ahead and do that, right? But you need to understand where we are with technology, where we're going in the future. Because, I've never been for the concept of the age of the presidents being in 80s and 70s and 60s. Low 60s, maybe, right? Because at least you're still close enough to what's actually going on, right? If you have to explain how an app works to the president, maybe that president shouldn't be the president. Okay. If you have to take photos of walkways so they know exactly the door to go through, I'm not sure that person should be the president. Okay. But either way, again, be as graceful as you possibly can in the older ages. Relax, enjoy your grandkids, right? That's it. You've worked your whole life. Relax now. Okay, that's it. That's all I have to say to that. Again, it's always frustrated me. But all right, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. Guys, before we go, are you guys subscribed to the other channels? Logical Movie Reviews with Mr. L. Boyd along with Mr. L. Boyd Music. Both are found in the description. Check it out.